Sup guys? Every time I upload a TF2 video, I always get comments like this. People will buy gaming PCs just to play TF2 like this. Well, first of all, yes. I have a $4,000 setup and I do play the game like this. Hashtag subtle flex. And I kinda wanna go over why someone would do something like this. I'm making this video so you guys can look into the brain of someone who uses almost the lowest settings possible for a game made in 2007 with a $4,000 computer. Because for most people, they probably can't even fathom the sheer amount of stupidity and tryhardness it takes for someone to do something like this. I'm sure most people assume that the guys who buy expensive computer parts buy them to play with RTX enabled at 4K upscaled to 16K. But that's not always the case. Okay, but why? Well, I love bad graphics. I love them. We kinda take it for granted nowadays how many good options there are for optimizing your TF2 that just weren't there back in the day. YouTube tutorials, Reddit threads, flat textures mod, no hats mod, and master config, which is just to name a few. And can we actually pause for a second to actually give master comms a standing ovation? I mean, this thing has infinite levels of customization. From ultra quality to ultra potato, it's got configs for everyone. And I mean, look at the documentation on this, man. It's got more documentation than Chris Chan's life. And back in the day, you had none of this. And you had to run this game on a graphics card made in 2007. So yeah, we have it pretty good today. So considering all these options, why do I still make my game look like a potato, even though I really don't have to? There are many reasons why you'd want to play TF2 or really any video game on low graphics settings, with performance being the obvious one. And even though my PC is great, it still gets performance increases from turning down settings because TF2 is frankly a pretty poorly optimized game. And yes, the more FPS the better. Even when it goes above your monitor's refresh rate, it still makes a difference despite what some may believe. And I can't stress enough how much FPS and consistent FPS helps you perform. The more FPS, the better you'll play. Simple as that. But it's not even just about performing. It just feels nice to get higher FPS, even in a casual setting. Having your game feel super smooth is awesome, and never having to see any visual stuttering even on the 1% lows feels great. It honestly just makes me question if the whole video game industry has graphical fidelity wrong, because to me a smooth feeling game will always take precedence over higher quality visuals. Maybe that's just me, but honestly, I just think it's one of those things where you try once and can never go back, you know? But it's weird, because they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? But if that's true, why is everyone so adamant that the highest graphics settings look the best? I feel like everyone has been brainwashed by marketing teams and the names on the graphics settings themselves that higher quality graphics equals better looking games. And you know what? Controversial opinion. I actually really like the play-doh aesthetic bad graphics gives to video games. It's a common visual side effect that many games have on the lowest settings. And I love the fact that this visual can even transcend game genres. No matter what, I can always rely on the bad graphics of a game to show me what really matters to that game. Reduce the details of everything that doesn't matter and make the gameplay elements stand out more. That's what I like my game's graphics to show me. And you know, it's kind of the same story on the other side of the graphical settings, but reversed. I just don't particularly like how higher quality graphics looks on, well, any game. There's just too much stuff going on that I don't care about. Jiggle bones, ragdolls, RTX, motion blur. It's all just there to distract from the gameplay. And oh, I'm getting a bit spoilery into my next topic. Most people think that the tryhards that play on bad graphics just want higher FPS, or their computer sucks, and that's it. For many, that's where they think the story ends. Bad graphics equals higher FPS. Cool. Now let me go back to playing Hoovy on 2 Fort or whatever. But there's another big proponent as to why I use bad graphics in TF2. And if you don't use one of these configs yourself, you probably don't think too much all about this, but to me, it's just as important as the FPS boost. And that's the visual clarity bad graphics grants you. TF2 is a very chaotic game, with 12 people on each team firing rockets, flames, and lasers at each other with ragdolls flying about. It's nice to have settings to make all this visual noise less distracting. And as a spy player, yes, I mean spy, when most of your gameplay is right up in your enemy's face, it's really nice to get as much visual clarity as possible to be able to see what is actually going on. Just as an example, Pyro's flames have a pretty drastic difference between high and low settings. On high settings, you can be completely blind from Pyro's flames, like a flashbang from CS just went off in your face. And on low settings, they are way easier to see through. And it's just the little things like this that can make your game way more readable for gameplay. Now, some of you might not see this as a big deal. You're just changing a couple cosmetic things, but as someone that has actually used these settings, I will tell you that they are game changers. They will drastically decrease your reaction time and heighten your game sense. The less cosmetic things on your screen, the more you can focus on the gameplay because, well, there's nothing else to look at. Therefore channeling all of your attention to the game rather than the funny fish flopping around. It's just that simple. And when you add up all these little graphical setting differences and mods to make your game look worse, you'll realize that this game is actually much simpler than meets the eye. And you're probably actually a much better player than you thought you were. I don't think I can convince you with words just how much of a benefit bad graphics give you. If you haven't tried this out for yourself, I highly recommend trying it at least once just to see if you enjoy it. There really is no other feeling like turning down all your settings for the first time. I'm sure you'll find the experience to be much different than you expected. But before you guys all start rushing to download the nearest FPS config, there is something to be said. There is something to be said about the identity loss TF2 goes through when you do this. All of the character models are turned into mush. Their eyes replaced with the backgrounds behind them. The decals on the walls vanish. The maps turn into Play-Doh. And the ragdolls vanished out of existence. Is it really worth taking all the style and charm out of TF2 just to have a little bit of an edge on your opponents? This is where I pose a different question. Why do we play video games? To win? To have fun? TF2 is a fun game. We all know this, and that's why we all play it. Whether you're a seasoned diehard with 7,000 hours or just a casual, this game has something for everyone. So let me ask you a different question. Would you still play TF2 tomorrow if they updated all the maps to be completely white and the player models to either be completely red or blue? And that's it. Would you still play TF2? I assume most of you would probably reluctantly say yes. Even though all of the visuals would be completely ruined, none of the gameplay elements changed. Therefore, it's still the same amount of fun as when it looked normal. Alright, cool. But let me ask you this question a bit differently. Would you have gotten into TF2 if the game looked like this from the start? Probably not. Aesthetics are a huge reason how people get into games. When you haven't played a game and don't know how it, plays, how do you judge it? By its visuals, of course. This thought experiment I just put you through is meant to show you that visuals are in fact important in video games. We take it for granted that most games even have beautiful graphics. It's kind of an afterthought to most people in the discourse surrounding video games, with people prioritizing gameplay over everything else most of the time. But if visuals matter, why do people like me not care? It's because the people who have played an extensive amount of one particular game can see something deeper, past the graphics of a game. They see the game that TF2 really is. Strip down all the visuals, and what you're left with is the rawest gameplay experience, with nothing distracting you from the kills, the air shots, the movement. They see only what pertains to gameplay because, well, that's what we want. We enjoy the TF2 experience so deeply that we don't need any of the shiny visuals. Bad graphics puts us closer to the game we love with no compromises, so we can focus on what we love about TF2 without any fluff. When you turn down your graphics settings this low, you see what TF2 really is. A deeply interconnected team-based shooter with some of the best well-designed classes ever put into gaming, with soft counters to overcome, rocket jumping to master, understanding the art of trick stabbing, flog canceling, damage surfing out of the way as a medic, airshotting a demo flying across the map. This is TF2, and this is why we love it. For its deep gameplay that you can't find anywhere else in gaming. Bad graphics will always be here. It's this ever-present ugly side to video games that's always there, but hidden in the shadows. You don't see it in trailers, you don't see it in high-profile YouTube videos, but to the real gamers, the ones that are there for the long haul, they see it, and they see it every day. To me, bad graphics symbolizes the gamer's unwillingness to give up, to come up with every way to gain a slight advantage. It shows someone that has a deep appreciation for a game's mechanics and strives to push them to their absolute limits, destroying the visuals and personality of a game in an attempt to make the mechanics more clear, to show what a game really is, without any bullshit and just to show the game in its truest form. We don't use bad graphics out of necessity, but out of curiosity, to see how far we can push a game, to push it to its absolute limits, to see what's even possible before the game starts breaking and crumbling before our eyes, finding the most optimal way to play until you learn the whole game inside and out, and finally beating it with all of the knowledge you learned along the way. That is what gaming is all about, and bad graphics is just one of the steps there to complete an utter victory. My name has been SUPDOZ, and thank you for watching. But wait. We're not done yet. Because here comes all the people in the comments saying, "But dude, TF2 is a casual game. You're supposed to play casually." Listen here, buddy. We are playing a multiplayer game. Multiplayer means that you're playing against other people. And you know what other people do? They do this. Believing that other people are going to subscribe to your agreement to take it easy is laughable. Because guess what? Some people, like me, find the most enjoyment when I'm trying my hardest in a video game, pushing the limits of what I can do, and constantly evolving my gameplay to eventually become a better player. Because, to me, that's what gaming is all about. And I'm sick and tired of hearing this narrative that sweats are ruining gaming. If you're one of the people saying this, you are playing the wrong type of game. You don't want a player versus player experience if you don't want to improve and adapt alongside your opponent. And if you're telling me, well, how am I supposed to compete? I have a job, or I have school. You don't have the correct mindset. But you can change. If you want to enjoy multiplayer games again, enjoy getting better. Enjoy learning new mechanics. Enjoy going into the practice range and warming up. Enjoy getting your timings down. Enjoy making a private match to find new tricks on maps you play. Enjoy the process of learning. Because if that's not what video games are all about, shit, I don't even know what they are then.
Fliz, what are these textures? So it might sound counterintuitive, and I think a lot of people will agree with this, the more TF2 that you play, the less that you care about the graphics, and you actually start to enjoy these graphics more.